Let's call the meeting to order at 6:32. Can we have roll call, please?
Yes. Can we start with Chairperson Mizzy?
Present.
Thank you. Vice Chairperson Adriano.
Here.
Secretary Jimenez. Commissioner Avila. Here. Thank you. Commissioner Kamal.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Cyrus.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Hailu.
Here.
Commissioner Ho.
Here.
Commissioner Hua. Commissioner Ibasan.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Lee. Commissioner Leong.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Mariano. Commissioner Giancarlo Ray.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Monique Ray.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Sway. And Commissioner Yoshida.
Here. Hi.
All right. Next is a review of the agenda. Does anyone have any additions or questions or redactions or comments? Nope. I don't think we ever have had to do that. Approval of the minutes. Did everyone read the minutes? Do we have a motion to approve the minutes? Does anyone have anything they want to change about the minutes? Aaron, you're flailing. What? Are you?
I think the minutes are fabulous.
Is that a motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Okay. Do we need to vote on that? Okay. Next item. Public comment. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment? I don't think so. I think everyone, yeah, okay. Closing the public comment. This is Roman numeral 6, the South San Francisco Education Foundation, and I give the floor to our guests.
All right, well, I'll just jump in and say, first of all, thank you for having us. We're all like super excited to have this meeting and just honestly get your thoughts on what you'd like to see an education foundation do in South City. So we have a few slides and I'll go ahead and share them. Are you able to see my screen? Sweet. Okay, so goals for the conversation today is just introduce our draft mission, vision, and values, and then just hear more from you. We really want this to be kind of an open discussion. First, we'll do introductions. I know I've met some of you, and I know other team members have met some of you, but all four of us are here today, the kind of starter board for this foundation. Barbie is our president, Christy is our vice president, Lauren is our treasurer, and I am the secretary. We included kind of our bios on the slide, but we won't go through it all. We can share these slides with you afterwards. But if everyone wants to just jump off of mute for a second and say hello from the team, starting with maybe Barbie.
Hi, I'm Barbie. Nice to see everybody. Thank you so much for having us today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christy Camacho. Nice to meet you all virtually.
Hi, I'm Lauren Kitchen. It's really great to be here with you tonight.
Sweet. And so our mission is just to support and enhance public education for all students in SSFUSD. And our vision is that all students can, receive the education and resources they need to achieve their highest potential. And this is intentionally a pretty broad mission and vision statement, but we think it's, will hold true as the foundation evolves over time. And again, this is just a draft, so it might change in the future. And then our values, also a draft, but we wanted to share these with you just so you could get a sense for where we are coming from and what we hold to be true. The first value is equity. Again, the words on the page might change a little bit, but we just really want you to know that we are leading with equity and really centering equity in all of our work. The second is community. We don't want this to be kind of our board just deciding what the foundation should do. Like, we want to work with the community and be led and guided by the community. And there will be opportunities to, be involved either formally or informally. We plan to have an advisory committee and also expand our board, and we'll definitely share more information with you all once we have that defined a little bit more crisply. And then I'll go to students first. Like, we just really want this to be about the students and prioritize what is in the best interest of the students and not have that get lost. And then integrity, just, being trustworthy, transparent, and honest in all of our work. With that, I would just love to open it up to discussion. Like, as we're kind of deciding what we want to prioritize with the foundation, we want to make sure that's guided by what the youth need, and just, you all have great ideas. And so these are starter questions for our discussion, but feel free to take this in whatever direction you would like to. And the other board members will also be jumping in with follow-up questions. So the first one is, from your experiences in school, what do you see as the biggest areas of need that youth have? The second one is, what ideas do you have on how students could better be supported in schools? And also, if you have a sense for what is highest priority, that would also help us prioritize. Very specifically, how do you want the foundation to support students? And then, outside of you all, just in what ways should we consider engaging students of SSF USD and their families, in particular, those most marginalized and or excluded? So I will open it up to whoever wants to speak first. I'm also going to stop sharing my screen.
I see Vice Chair Adriano's hand is up.
Yeah, thank you for giving that presentation. I think the work that you guys are planning on doing, it sounds really amazing. I guess one thing from my perspective of having attended high school in SSF USD is that a lot of art programs are really underfunded, and like, I don't know, I know a lot of like kids who are really interested in the arts, there's not really a lot of funding to do that. And yeah, that's just a lot of sentiment like I got from a lot of my friends and other students.
Thanks.
Can I ask, Erin, do you mean what kind of art? Like, there's so many different kinds. Are there specific ones that you feel might be more accessible and students would be interested in?
No, yeah. I guess when I was thinking about art, it's like really like I'm thinking about theater, and I'm thinking about more like visual art too. Yeah, just like art in general.
Thank you. Looks like Megan.
Megan.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say I really agree with what Erin said, because I'm currently in the dance department at El Camino, and a lot of the money that we have is fundraised by the parents, and we don't get that much from like the district and stuff. And even in the theater department, which I'm also part of, it's like we wish the district would prioritize things like band and theater and all the arts over things like some of the sports, which are also important, but which are being prioritized in an inequitable way, you know? So yeah, I really agree with what Erin said.
Thank you.
Jessica?
This was 2018. It's been a long time, but there was some point in time wherein in South City we had to fundraise for our theater costumes and just like the basic things that we want to have, and then our choreographers for like the shows are usually freelance or volunteers, and they're former students. And it's just been difficult. Like they would go to Goodwill for the costumes, and then they would also try to save the costumes that they purchased for like the future shows to come. And I just hope that there would be more funding in terms of like art funding. That's what I have in mind. Also, in terms of students kind of like gaining more exposure to art, I know that we have our flea market or like our farmers market. I forgot what Marie calls it, but Marie used to do that thing. I mean, I just help her create the flyers and stuff, but it's every October. Wait,
Mm.
can you guys hear me now?
I could hear you the whole
Okay,
time.
perfect.
I'm not sure, Monique. If you
Monique,
have
is
your
it
audio
working?
muted, go ahead, Jessica.
Okay, so yeah, I think it's called the farmers market, but we used to have them during October. They started October, and from what I know, you need like peddler permit, you need permit to also sell food, and that's a different permit if you're selling merchandise, and then there's a different permit for a city, and then there's the one that you have to obtain from the county and all that, and it's just kind of really inaccessible. And I think that we can get more people to attend that event, or like our local farmers event, if we make it accessible for students to sell their art. Because we also created like a master list of the student-led businesses around South City, even in Daly City actually. And that living document is still linked in our Instagram from last year. And then we had students who linked their face mask businesses, their stickers, and if they customize shoes. And I just thought it would be great if we just, like not have them sign a permit to sell their work every month. So
It's
yeah.
really helpful. Yeah. And also interesting just to connect kind of the arts with also an entrepreneurship and also a source of income. So that's a good idea. Samantha?
Hi, sorry, like I'm in the same room with my little brother, so sorry if you hear like teenage mutant in
No
the
worries.
background. But I think like everyone's making good points of art, and I know like personally speaking from South San Francisco High School, I served as ASB president this last school year, so I saw a lot of the work that was behind it, and we've been trying hard to implement murals, but I feel like there's not a lot of, well, we have one mural and we're gonna try to do this like contest yearly so we could have more artwork around the school, which is like amazing to have. And we pay the artists, not obviously not a lot, but we do pay them. And I just wish that artwork would just transfer over to the city and have it, because I know the muralist at our school, she's like one of my closest friends, and she was just saying that like she wanted this mural to be community oriented, because I feel like a lot of the artwork we see around South City, it's like really random and out of touch. And I just feel like if we gave, the youth in our own community, like to have them have the chance to create their own artwork, we wouldn't just like, no offense, but we wouldn't just have like orange slices around Orange Park, We'd
Going
actually
with orange slices? No, I'm kidding.
we'd have like art that would actually represent them, and like it would make them feel connected, it like would make them feel connected to South City and not somewhere that we just like kind of like where a lot of youth want to get away from, but like actually give back to their community. I think it's really important to build that relationship. And like I hope like, with all these suggestions, your platform sounds great, and I hope we can help mend that through it.
Yeah, thank you. Could I ask a follow-up question on that? Is if we were to just say want to fund students or youth to do these kind of murals, what's the best way to, I guess, publicize that? Like, is there a student group that we should go through? Should it be like an open call and then publicize it on Instagram? What ideas do you have on how to make sure people have the opportunity to do that and just know about it?
I think the way that we did it, because at first to get the mural list, it was done through ASB, and we just kind of sent out a Google form to the school and was just like, oh, like if you want to do a mural, submit an art submission. Or if you know someone that's an artist, because I know sometimes people kind of need that little like shove from a friend, they could submit a name and that we contacted them. But I think also a good way would just be to like ask art teachers and like the art. We don't have an art club at South City, I don't think. No, yeah, we don't. But like asking the art teachers and things like that. In our ceramics class, there's like some kids would just go in just taking ceramics to take up the class schedule, but they'd be so artistic and they like got a bond and like love and passion for it. So I think just asking teachers as well, like, do you have suggestions for students?
Danielle?
I think I think the first one, I think like teachers are a really big thing at schools, especially since they're like our support system. And I think like somehow raising the like wages would help a lot, because then it would motivate teachers, you know, good teachers that like students rely on to stay. Because like I know like a bunch of teachers that I like had a good relationship, like they had to leave, and so you don't really have that like reference and support when you go throughout like school and stuff. So I think like raising the wages would be like something to work on.
Yeah, we've actually been, talking to other education foundations in the Bay, and there is one that's launching something to raise wages, and it's a really big initiative, kind of a long-term thing, but it's definitely something on our radar as well.
I just wanted to add on to Danielle's point about like lack of resources, not just with teachers, but just with like staff and counselors at both high schools. I feel like it really puts kids in our school district at a disadvantage. And it's really unfortunate because like we have so many like brilliant, amazing, artistic like people that like come from South San Francisco, and also our schools are rich with diversity, and I would love to see like those students being supported in a way that can help them succeed later on in life. And so I feel like for me personally, when I was in high school like 4 years ago, I had 3 principals in 1 year, and then I also had 7 French teachers over the 4 years. So like it's like, how can you succeed if you don't have a consistent, standard to even be held to? And so it's unfortunate that I saw so many people that were just so brilliant and so talented kind of just not be given even the opportunity to like explore different resources. And so I think, yeah, art's a huge one, but also just like any of the social sciences, I feel like those are largely neglected. We focus a lot on STEM, which is great, but I would love to see like value being placed on like research in those other areas too. And even just, I know that it's a longer term project to like fund teachers better, but I'd say like if we could prioritize counselors as well, even if we can't hire additional counselors, but just, potential training lessons, or like I joined the youth commission in the San Mateo County because of a counselor. So like if she hadn't told me that, like this youth commission might not even exist. Like, so like if I didn't have just someone to like say, hey, I see potential in you, hey, you might be successful in this, then like, I'd be on a different path. And so I'd love to see that for other students in high school.
Thank you, Monique. A few follow-up questions from me, and the other board members might have some too. The first one is really quick. Just what types of social science classes would you want to see? And the second one is if you could say more about training for counselors and just like what types of trainings would be helpful. And also any reflections you or anyone else has on just, are there enough counselors or mental health counselors? Do you feel comfortable like reaching out to them, and are you finding the help that you need?
I would say potentially economics. That's just what I'm interested in, but students, anyone feel free to jump in for other passion projects you might have. There's a whole wide range of subjects from like anthropology to like history that we like really just neglect. And I feel like at other schools, we still to this day only have AP World and APUSH offered as AP classes. Like there's other AP classes that could be offered within that realm. And I also feel like in terms of counselors, like if we could just give counselors like a list of resources, for example, like all of the commissions and councils that exist within this county, and maybe a few counties near here that are within commutable distance. So for example, if a young passionate student is interested in like the Juvenile Delinquency and Prevention Commission, and like maybe they don't even know that they're interested in that, they just know that they're against police brutality, they just know that they have these passions, they don't know where to go with that, like it would be good to go to a counselor and for them to be like, okay, here's this and this commission that you can look at. Or like if we just kept a stronger log of things that other students have done, for example, like scholarships they've won, things that people from Elko and South City have done in the past, so that students feel like they can apply to those things and those are accessible to them. So that sort of retraining as to providing better guidance for passion projects and research projects, internships, etc.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Decay? Please
It's all
correct me.
good. It's all good. My name is pronounced Dekai.
Decay, got it.
So when I was hearing a lot of us talk about, like teacher turnover and just the lack of having that relationship with teachers because they, go to other districts that are better paying, what came to mind for me was mentorship. And so I know it's going to be a long fight to obviously increase teachers' wages and really help build that relationship between teachers and students. But what I was thinking was that if we can have some sort of formal mentorship between seniors and freshmen, or upperclassmen who can sort of provide support to the underclassmen, that would be something that I think would be helpful for a lot of freshmen coming into high school. Because I know that there is a lot of upperclassmen who are willing to be a helping hand to underclassmen. And that's something that would be beneficial for both people, specifically because seniors sort of like to pass on that experience. And it's just unfortunate because I know there's a lot of upperclassmen who have, had scholarships or are looking into doing specific community service projects. And so it would be great to have them pass down that knowledge to underclassmen. And so I think that's something that's a lot easier to do as opposed to, of course, doing the long fight of increasing teacher wages, which we all want, of course, but we know it's been a long time since teachers have been demanding for some basic, basic compensation. But that's just something that came to mind, just mentorship. And then even what Monique was saying was really great, about having like a living, breathing document that just gives all of students different resources. I think that would be helpful to everybody, even the underclassmen, because even if it's something that they can't apply to, that they aren't qualified for, that's something that they can eye and keep eye out for a future thing that they can possibly apply to. So that is what came to mind for me.
Thanks so much for sharing. I'm just hearing a theme of, not having every ninth grader have to start from scratch and just like learn how the world works and find their own opportunities. That also connects back to what Monique was saying as well. Sophia?
Yeah, hi. So I go to South San Francisco High School, and there's the Wellness Center, which I think it's a great, wonderful resource. And I think while it has helped a lot of students, it can reach even more students and help them further. I think there needs to be more staff because the staff was very minimal, and I think that caused some issues for students, especially when they really needed help. But also, I think with such a minimal team of staff, it's hard for them to curate and help so many students as well. So I think overall that program can be re-looked at to improve it. But I think what the wellness program, and I know other schools have it as well, which is also why I'm saying it, I think it's at a good starting point, and I think we could just reflect on how it is already to strengthen it and also reach out to more students, because it wasn't the only way I and my friends knew about it was through counselors. And I think another way it could help students, both academically and mentally, is just finding more ways to advertise it to students.
Quick question. You mentioned like something caused issues with the wellness center. Was it just because of not enough staff, or was there something else?
I think, yeah, it was mainly because of staff, because when students are meeting with staff, they usually have another student, like a senior, watching over everyone. But then with that, no one's really able to be responsible for each other. And then if someone really needs help, no one's going to know because all the staff are already working with students, stuff like that.
Got it. Jasmine?
I just want to like piggyback off of what Takai was saying. Basically like having a mentorship, but for mentally disabled or handicapped students, I think that's really important. At El Camino, we're starting this program through SIA Club to sort of have like a mentorship to teach like mentally handicapped students like different sports and stuff, like or like things that they might not have easy access to. So I think having that connection and allowing them to like do different activities that they like want to pursue or thinking about, but don't exactly like know how or where to start. I think that's really important too, because like they're students like the rest of us and like they just want to have fun as well.
Totally. Cheska, I think you raised your hand again, right?
I'm personally not a fan of the College Board, and I think AP classes are a scam, but I do believe in the work ethic that AP classes enforce. I just don't think that students should be paying to take an exam to prove that they are proficient enough for college. But I'm saying, have you guys seen the TikTok trend AP art portfolio?
You are
I
asking the
love
wrong
that
group of people
trend.
on TikTok. We're too
Love
old,
that
we're not on
trend so
TikTok.
much. However, my love for that trend also stems from my hate about elitist schools and funding, because those students came from well-funded schools. And I know this is probably a unified school district concern, but I think we should have AP art without enforcing students to take the AP exam. I know El Camino does not force its students to take the exam, but South City does. And there's been a protest about this before. Even during my class, we had like a walkout and everybody just trashing Dr. Ropedo. Dr. Ropedo is really sweet and nice. And, you know, it was just sad that like the staff that wanted to help students are the ones that are getting blamed for that. And I think that's a unified school district problem, that they're forcing students to take the AP exam by taking the AP classes. And we should definitely have AP art because we had AP European history during my senior year of high school. And I love Miss Chin. She's practically like one of my best friends. But if we can have AP European art, European history, which I think is not a significant, you know, like that's not our history. Why are we incorporating that classes? We don't need to be knowing about Louis the 15 or something like that. Like that just doesn't help our community. But if we had AP art, like I know for sure some Bay Area teacher would teach that. And that also helps that may also help us hire more teachers, which I know we can't pay teachers right now, but
Yeah.
we should still hire more.
No,
and
I feel you on that.
So we should have AP art.
Yeah. I think I got a 2 on the AP European history test and it turned out fine. So I totally agree with you. Question on being forced to take the test. Was there resistance against that because of the fees or because of just not wanting to take the test, like the time and the studying?
Students do not have money to pay for that exam. Yes, you get a waiver here and there, but that waiver can only suffice for about one exam. And that is, I'm really trying not to cuss, but that shit is hella expensive. It's just not like that barely covers your 1 week paycheck. Say like if you are an overachieving student, which, you know, everyone at South City is, everyone has amazing work ethic, and that barely gets recognized because people are just like, oh, she just took AP classes because she's able to pay. Oh, she just took that because she's trying to get into a good college. But no, people actually like the things that AP students do. And when you're taking CP classes, you usually stigmatized for like not being a good student enough. That's why you don't want the work ethic. But no, sometimes people feel like they cannot take AP classes because they're gonna have to pay anyway, and they just want the rigor that it has, because they believe that they can learn more, they can get more out of those classes. And I feel like that in a way, if we take the requirement of taking the AP classes, at least in South City High, because El Camino is doing well by not forcing students to take that, then we can also disrupt elitist barriers in the academia. And also, I know someone in I don't know if I be hearing these rumors correctly, but there's someone in El Camino who took AP stats when they did not really have AP stats, because I think he was so good in stats. Like, see, we have so many talents in South City, but they're so limited by institutional barriers like that one, the classes that we have. And AP Euro, I love Miss Shin and she teaches that class so fun. But I feel like, and also Miss Chin also addressed that because she is Asian. She said that all throughout her experience of being a teacher, people only saw her as capable of teaching Asian history, that she is not as competitive enough to teach APUSH. So that's something that needs to be talked about also, like when, I don't know if SSFUSD is the one responsible for teachers hiring and everything, but yeah, there's so many challenges that we don't see on a surface level because we're just so used to, like going by like SATs as well. So yeah, I mean, that's not a South City problem, that's a College Board problem, but there's.
Well, it's an interesting, like my mind's already kind of going because like, yeah, the foundation could help cover fees, right, for tests, but also it is a systemic problem. And so, who do we need to email to like fix this? And how do we activate you all as well? Because it does just seem very inequitable to require such high fees to take a test. But I will get off my soapbox as well. Who hasn't gone yet?
Can I jump in and ask a question, Cheska?
Yeah, go ahead, Christy.
How was it enforced? Did you have to sign something that said you committed to taking the AP test before you were able to take the class? Or
Yes,
they
you
wouldn't even let you in the
do.
class? Wow, okay.
Like at least in 2017 I remember, but 2018 is kind of blurry. Oh my god, I'm like talking like, yeah, it's been a while. I was in high school, but there was some time wherein you have to like sign an AP contract. I believe that's what it's called.
Okay.
And then there was time we walked out and everybody went to the auditorium and everybody was just like, fuck the AP contracts and all that. And then they just thought that we were just merely trying to disrespect administration because we're lazy to take the exam. But really it's more than that.
Right.
And then like people also brought that up, that El Camino students were not taking this and yet enjoying the rigors of an AP class.
Mhm.
And it should be that way.
Thank you.
Oh, and if you do not sign the contract, you cannot take the class. So there is that. So there's no resisting the contract.
Right.
All right, Danielle.
I'm gonna add on to what Sophia said first, because I go to the wellness counselor, and like to get to the wellness counselor at El Camino, you have to like go through your actual school counselor, and then your school counselor has to talk to the wellness counselor, and it's like a whole process. And like people who just want to meet with the wellness counselor like have to go through that whole process, which I feel like is a lot. And then adding on to what Cheska said, yeah, like College Board is like a scam, and like some teachers at El Camino will completely like disregard that like the exam is like $100 and still be like, take it. And it's like a really like awkward situation to be put in, because I was talking about it like with a bunch of friends in class and my teacher overheard me, and my teacher was like, if this was a scam, I wouldn't be teaching this class. And I like felt like so like, I don't know, like weirded out by like her saying that. And I also feel like, I wouldn't say you're forced to take the exam, but I definitely feel like you're peer pressure too, because like everyone in that class is taking the exam. And also like your teacher is always like, oh, whatever you're doing right now is like for the exam. And I know like it's also $100, which is like expensive. And I remember I had an internship, and my supervisor told me that like her school would like reimburse the students their money, which is like super nice. And I don't know how we can figure out a way for South City, like the district, to do that, but that would also be really good. And also like, I think high school there should be more accessibility to like community college classes, because I think those are like way better than taking an AP exam, because they are free and your like college credit doesn't depend on one exam. And yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Danielle. It's also helpful for us to hear like really the processy things, like how do you actually get in contact with the wellness counselor and kind of see the barriers to access there.
Can I ask a
Go ahead,
follow-up
Lauren.
about the concurrent enrollment? What do you think the barrier to getting more kids to try out concurrent enrollment would be? Like, how come more kids don't choose that over AP?
I feel like they just don't know that it exists, because I like learned concurrent enrollment through another student. And like, that's how like everyone knows it. It's like through another person. Like people ask me about concurrent enrollment than like their actual counselors. Also, I think like, yeah, it's also transportation wise. I don't think like I don't know how public transportation goes there, but I think like Skyline is, I would say far, but it's pretty far for someone to drive up there.
All three of the community colleges in San Mateo County are very transit inaccessible. Like it's a 10-minute drive to Skyline, but it's like a 50-minute bus ride if you're near a bus line.
And how about online classes? Have you guys tried those?
I did an online class. I learned about concurrent enrollment through, I feel like at South City it is like advertised a little bit more than I hear about it from El Camino. But I feel like online it was kind of, it can be inaccessible because not everyone has like a laptop, hotspot, or even the luxury to have like a quiet place and be able to study. I know that's like a common theme with some of my friends who have younger siblings. They're always like, oh my God, like I'm so glad we're back in school because during online learning, I couldn't learn with my little siblings. So it's difficult with that. And yeah, just again, like I can't express how much like transportation, like getting to Skyline is such a headache if you don't have your driver's license in the car. Like it's just, it scares people off. It's basically impossible.
Thanks. Those are great answers. And I'll call the next. I think we haven't heard from, I see Monique is first down the line, and then they get Megan Yoshida after that.
I was gonna say that like in terms of costs, and just kind of like drawing in more parents that would like donate to the school or like alumni that would donate to like our high schools, like we don't really have a bunch of like niche sports that like other schools, public schools within this county have. Like I don't really care about water polo at all, but do some parents do that will donate to the school? Probably, yeah. And so I think that like it just feels like there's a lot of just like slow growth within our school, and I wish that like I like sports to an extent. I'm not like a huge sports fan, but I just think that it's necessary to bring in like donors. And if we don't have sports other than like the typical ones like basketball and football, like we don't have more niche sports, then we're not going to get that same attention for our school. And also, like, I know a lot of parents, when they're deciding where their kids want to go in middle school, they'll like basically hack the system and send their kids like I have plenty of friends that like lived up the street from me and should be going to either South City or El Camino, but then they go to like Burlingame High School because of like either transfer out or like lie about their address. And it's just like an unfortunate truth that happens. So we lose a lot of brilliant, smart students because their parents will assume that there's not many opportunities at Elko and South City, and then they'll send them elsewhere. And that's really unfortunate. And that's not just with sports, that's also just like with the amount of AP classes that are offered and honors classes that are offered. And I'm surprised that we still only allow AP World, at least at El Camino, for sophomores. Like they start off taking one AP class and they're already behind all the kids in Burlingame and just all the other, you know, Cappuccino High School, they're already behind. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, thanks for starting to think about our fundraising strategy. If you all have any other ideas, please send them our way. Also just note that we're not just looking at parents and families to fundraise from, so businesses or other foundations as well. Megan?
Okay, yeah, I had something. So earlier when Cheska was talking, you made a point about like the classes like having AP European history, but AP art as well. And kind of talked about how there's not really many classes that students are interested in. Like, sure, AP European history might be a class that someone's interested in, but not a lot of students are into that. So I think that if a wider variety of classes was taught, and maybe by a wider variety of teachers, like how El Camino has ethnic studies, but no one really likes the teacher kind of thing. Like if there were more teachers teaching more classes, it would be a much more enjoyable experience for students. And would also feel maybe a little bit less pressuring to take AP classes because you're trying to, you know, have fun and learn about things you want to learn. Also, oh, I forgot who just talked, but they mentioned people like switching schools or like going to a different school, maybe lying about their address or something, just so they could get better classes, and maybe for college, like more diversity of classes. And one of my friends, I went to middle school with him. He's currently going to a private school because it has such a better variety of classes for him. And I think it's sad. I want to go to school with him. And I wish that, you know, the school he was supposed to go to, instead of going to a private school, had the classes that he wanted to take that would give him the better education. Because then, you know, it would be a lot more affordable for everyone. That's it.
Thanks, Megan. Has the school district ever asked students, to your knowledge, what classes they're interested in taking? Like a survey or anything like that? Ethan, do you have a...
To that point, it's usually the teachers who like initiate it, because like I know the teacher, the leadership teacher at El Camino, he for years like wanted to teach film and literature, and he used to teach it, but then there just weren't enough students who wanted to, and like people like didn't know that they can like say I want to take this class, and like if he got like enough people to like sign up, then the class would be offered. And like I feel like if they did do some sort of like, would you like to take this class or this class or this class, like if there was that option, more people would, because like there's other classes that aren't film and literature that I'm sure teachers would like to teach.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. I'm gonna skip to Sophia.
I was gonna say, and I feel like this kind of puts everything in a large group, which makes it a little confusing. But I think if there was just one resource that would show students the opportunities they have or how to do things, because like everyone's been saying, different groups will want different projects or classes to be instituted. And I feel like there is a lot of groups of kids that share these interests and they talk to their friends, but they're not sure who to go to or how to put their voice out there. And I think if maybe the school had like just posters, or they talked more about the opportunities students have to put their voices in their communities, then I think it would not necessarily solve problems, but just create a greater road for people to go down on and experience and be exposed to these different things, like the Youth Commission. And also programs like AVID, I think, are very beneficial. However, it is I guess what I'm trying to say with that is that there is a lot of kids that want to do scholarships and want to be more knowledgeable of scholarships, college, how to get into college, AP classes, but they feel pressured because of the way AVID's run, so they don't do it. But then there's nothing else in the school to expose them easily to how do I apply to college? How do I get scholarships at this age? And I think if there was a separate program that was more applicable to all students, then that could be a big help.
Thanks, Sophia. When you say feeling pressured because of how AVID is run, could you just elaborate on that?
I guess what I mean is first commitment, but also the way the class itself is run. Because I went to the meetings for AVID, however, I didn't join because of things teachers were saying to me in relation to AVID and my studies, but also just because it felt like there is like I didn't fit in, I guess. And I feel like for a lot of students that could be an issue. Like they don't see how they apply to it because it's very academic centered, but they maybe want to do something else. Stuff like that.
I guess actually another follow-up question is, outside of academics, like are there specific career paths, or just like what else would you be interested in learning about in a class like AVID or similar?
Well, I know some people do want to go to college, and of course that's academic. However, they might want to go on a sports scholarship, or maybe they want to go to an art school, stuff like that. So I feel like, for example, I'm very interested in like art or even like literature, which I know is pretty mainstream academic. But for example, when you're an AVID and let's say most of the kids are headstrong on like algebra and English and AP Euro, right? It's hard to fit in art and the sports or band you like, that kind of stuff. So it's like, well, if I want to go to college for art or to study this and that, then does this class only teach scholarships that involve the mainstream academics instead of art and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to call on Sam, Sophia, Danielle, and Dekai, and then we have a few kind of targeted questions to ask you as well. So Sam, go ahead.
Yeah, I think something that I remember talking about is my ASB advisor from sophomore year is he wanted to push for students to, like, you know how there's an application process if somehow, you know, some teachers want to work in SSFUSD even with how much they pay them here. We were thinking through the application process. He suggested this idea that like actual students should be some of the interviewers. That way it's like, because obviously like the board or whoever is hiring them, I think it's like Mr. O and like the superintendent cabinet, they're seeing it through a superintendent perspective, not really a student perspective. So he kind of had this idea of having like students actually be on this interview board and like having them like go through the process, and like that way they could give student input on to the people that are hiring. And then I also think like too, there's been like a massive drop. I know we've been talking a lot about APs, but there's also been a massive drop in the like students that are doing APs. One, that's also because of the AP exam, but also like that's also because some students, they just, because of their environment, they really can't take APs. It does require a lot of time and work, and some students have like work to do and things like that, and they just can't handle everything. So I think there also needs to be room that like APs, like even though they're really nice to have some of these like rigorous courses and they do offer a lot of exploration and learning of subjects, like they're not going to be the saviors for all of South San Francisco students because they just won't. But yeah, those are like two of my things. Just that like that just occurred to me, like having students be like an interviewee for teachers that are trying to get into the district.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. It's also something that doesn't cost money. It's just like a process update to have students on those interview panels. I think I said Danielle was next.
Adding on to what Sophia said, I think our schools are very like STEM based because we are like the biotech city, but I feel like they forget about like kids who want to go to like art schools and film schools, especially with scholarships. I feel like the only scholarships provided by our school are either like STEM and law, and then like there's nothing for anyone else. And my friend got into an art school and they had like no like help, which is like crazy to me because like obviously like you need like a counselor to help you. So I wish there was like college guidance counselors, because I think like the counselors at our school already do enough with like scheduling and like planning stuff. And I was gonna say, also with like the community college classes, I also feel like a lot of teachers like look down on community college like more than you think they do, because I don't know why. I think it's just the stigma around it. Because I was talking to a teacher about it one time, and then they were like, oh, but like you have so much like potential to go to like a state school and like a UC, but like they don't know like my full situation. Like what if I couldn't afford like going to like a 4-year? So I just think there's a lot of like elements that sort of like work together to sort of like limit students' opportunities.
Dekai?
Yeah, so on the topic of concurrent enrollment, as we all discussed, I think the big issue with actually getting students to go to campus, to Skyline, to actually take those classes is transportation, of course. So I was thinking if the school district could do something where they have vans similar to the ones that the sports teams at South City and El Camino have. They usually have a coach or a teacher, some sort of administrative staff, take the group of kids anywhere. And so I'm thinking if we could do the same thing with students who are interested in taking classes at Skyline, that would be great. And I know the obvious thing is, well, how are we gonna, get a whole bunch of kids to this campus when all their classes are gonna be at different times? I think it'd be a great idea if that system were to be implemented, if they're more strategic about the kind of classes they're advertising to students, meaning if the schools can advertise, for instance, psychology and ethnic studies. I think that would be something that speaks directly to a lot of the students at South City and El Camino, because ethnic studies, for instance, is a requirement at CSUs. I'm not sure if it's a requirement at UCs. I don't think that it is, but I know for sure it is now a requirement at CSUs. So it would be a great opportunity for kids to knock out that core requirement in high school. And then, that puts them ahead of the game. And so I think if the school were to really come up with a system where they advertise those specific classes, help students get enrolled, it's a very easy system to just get online once you've registered for concurrent enrollment. And then if there's a group of kids that all are in those classes, it would be a great support system for all of them to be taking that first class at community college together. And then that sort of van system could be implemented. I think that would be amazing. And that's just something that came to mind now, since everybody was talking about the issue of transportation. I think that would be great for a lot of the students. And I specifically mentioned psychology because I just know that that's something that a lot of students are interested at South City. That's just based off of what I've heard in the past. Personally, I know I'm interested in psychology, wasn't interested enough to major in it, but a lot of the kids in my high school, they were definitely, big fans of psychology. So that's just something that I think would be great if it is feasible and if it's something that like a staff member can get paid for. I know a lot of times these classes are could be once a week. At least I had a friend in high school who was doing concurrent enrollment and he just had to attend one night class. So, I mean, if it's like a matter of just finding one staff member who's willing to do that for once or twice a week, I think it's totally possible to do that.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I wonder if it's possible. I mean, we should definitely talk to the community colleges to see if they could kind of include high schoolers in consideration in their scheduling and just how they're offering courses to make them more accessible. Okay, let's go to Danielle, and then we're going to pause to ask a few questions. Danielle. Okay, so one question is, and this may not apply to all of you, but the district has been seeing a decline in day-to-day attendance, not enrollment. And so there are so many factors that can go into why someone can't make it to school. And would just love to hear from you all if you had any ideas on, I guess, how to help students with attendance in a way that actually meets their needs.
Jessica, go ahead.
Okay, so I kind of have a lot to say about this because my sister was truant and my mom was just mad because we're not citizens and my mom already has a pending case and CPS showing up because my sister doesn't go to class before the school even contacts my mom. Like they contacted her and they're doing what they usually do. But it's just the fact that when students are truant, there's a bigger issue to that. It's not just trying to get students to go to class. It's the fact that the police show up to your house, criminalizing the parents. And if the police shows up to that truant student's house, it just creates bigger fear, not just because they're police, but there are undocumented communities out here that if the police shows up, it just opens a bigger can of worms. And my sister has been truant. She doesn't go to class because she's just working so much. And my mom does not know that. She tells me everything, but she wouldn't tell my mom just because she thinks that the school and my mom are working hand in hand to it's just this staff adult stigma towards students. And based on what I know from my sister and some of her friends, lots of students have started. I couldn't speak for myself, but they said oh, I just barely go to class ever since COVID started because I realized I can make more money doing work that there's just so. And that's why I suggested in the group chat that we should start hiring students in the district to do simple clerical jobs rather than making those tasks a detention related task. And when students are in the work study program, I believe like you have to be 18, you have to reach certain hours. And sometimes that's the only way for you to be permitted to work outside school. Then why not have a program inside high school campuses as like a job for students, instead of like having them out there and then the school is just wondering if, and like start labeling them delinquent for not going to class and all that. Because I know for a fact, like there are so many schools out here in Berkeley, they do employ, at least like Berkeley School, High School, Unified School District hires 3 or 5. It's not that big of a program, but they do hire students to like help teachers out. And I do think that TA programs should be paid. Like no one should be doing free work, checking papers, or putting their emotional labor of running errands for teachers like that. But teachers deserve help. I'm just saying that the school has so much money that they don't pay teachers enough, and they don't even provide that much employment. But if we want to keep students in school and work is one of a recurring issue, then why not provide them on campus enrollment?
Thanks so much for sharing that. I know it's a really sensitive and personal topic. And also thanks for sharing in the chat as well. I'm trying to keep track of what's going on there. But yeah, we assume that there's just, people have real lives and, mental health challenges and income needs and everything. And so it's just helpful to hear that. Genevieve?
Hi. So yeah, I kind of had to step away for a bit to get something from my parents, but I kind of heard what Cheska said. Not entirely sure what anyone else has said, but in case someone else has already mentioned it, just to reiterate, I think like what would help a lot if like with we're on attendance, right? Like trying to help kids get better attendance at school. I think what would help would be if we were to implement like hybrid learning, like in case kids aren't able to go to school because they have work or because they're not feeling well, regardless if it's mental, emotional, or physical pain. Just if the kids aren't able to make it to school, we should still have like a system where we can have the kids join online through their phones or have like pre-recorded lessons. And then those kids can still get to class and still probably be like, maybe have like a check-in or like a Google survey sent out to, make sure that they were like in quote unquote in class. I don't know exactly, but just something where the kids can be in class virtually and, still have their attendance counted for. And, they're not pushed to the sidelines because they have life and they have things to do outside of school.
Thanks, Genevieve. I really like that idea. Like it's not all or nothing, I guess. So just trying to meet students where they are and give them options. Jessica, did you have another comment, or was your hand just up? No, okay. Another kind of targeted question is just for those of you who already graduated, do you feel like you graduated with everything that you needed to kind of enter the world, or are there other things? I see everyone shaking their head no, which is very sad, but I probably would have agreed to that looking back at my high school experience. So what else would have been helpful for you just to feel, I guess, ready to kind of enter the world? Sam?
Okay, I know like some people are gonna mention other stuff, so I'll save that for them because I kind of feel it's coming. And I know this is gonna sound a little bit silly, but health class, like, just, oh my God, our health class is so out of date, and it's just the people teaching health at South City, at least, don't teach health. They teach something else. They don't teach health, but it's just, we need more inclusivity in that class. We need more education. We need, like, honestly, there's so much at South City, at least from what I know. There's just, we should be teaching more about like sexual abuse and domestic abuse, and just a lot of our teachers take it from like a like a neutral point. But honestly, if we were to be able to talk about domestic abuse and sexual abuse more, like so many, at least I know, like so many girls would be saved, because so many girls are like in these like really like, I'm overhearing their conversations and I'm like, you're literally like being like, even talking about grooming in health class, like that would save so many like younger underclassmen. Because I hear these conversations, I'm like, run, like why are you still talking to these like grown boys? Like no, run, you know. So I feel like having these conversations, like if we just were like updating our health class curriculum and just talking about like grooming and like sexual abuse and domestic abuse, and we're also obviously more LGBTQ like inclusive, because some people like they'll like be done with health class and I'm talking to them and they don't even know what intersex means. Like it's just everything's so outdated, and I feel like I don't know enough. And like there's just honestly there's so much that we can talk about in health class. Like we could obviously talk about like relationships and grooming and like child abuse as well, and like things like child development, and like you know, we could talk about LGBT inclusion and things like that. And we could also talk about I had it on the tip of my tongue and then I forgot it. But there's so much that we can include in health class to really educate people and just like help create literally better citizens. Like just yeah, health class has so much potential, and I feel like it's just one semester, so obviously there's only so much that they can do. Oh, I remember it, like even diet culture, if we talked about like, you know, EDs and things like that, like we could just like there's so much that we could do with health class. And I feel like I came out of it not really like learning much, and just yeah, I feel like we should really emphasize health class. Yeah.
Thanks, Sam. All really good points. Let's go to Aaron next.
Oh, okay. So this is kind of just echoing what's already been said, but it's definitely so it's definitely for me after graduating high school and now in college, I've learned that it's really about the lack of, I guess, class variety is what like really has me like struggling a lot, I realize, because I don't know, when I first moved to college, I'm just realizing like how much more behind I am than everyone in like my writing skills. Like I feel like I was just starting from the groundwork like up, and it like feels like I don't know, like I'm just trying to catch up with everyone else because I didn't really have that much of like a writing foundation, because and I didn't really have that much of like a humanities like foundation too, because these things weren't just like because I know I like encountered a lot of people who had like philosophy classes in high school, and like personally for me, like I just like I'm just so scared to to explore like new classes, and like being at a school that offers so many new classes, it like kind of like limits what I'm able to do too, because I'm not going to take those classes because I'm just going to do what I'm already familiar with, which is like such a small scope. um no, yeah, yeah, I would say that was probably the biggest thing for me, like transitioning from high school to college.
Yeah, I definitely felt the same way. Transition to college, I was like, what schools did y'all go to? Because like I did not have philosophy in my high school. I just felt totally unprepared and a little bit nervous to even engage in those conversations or classes. Ethan, do you want to go next?
Yeah, really quickly for attendance, and I kind of mentioned it in the chat, but like there are a lot of people who don't really like want to go to college, and like the schools offer some art classes, and that's good, but they should offer more and they should be more funded. But like there's only like an auto class, and I think you can only take it once, and then there's culinary, but that's kind of an art too. But like there's no like wood shop or metal shop or like other like trade stuff. And like there were like a handful of people in my grade who like did not want to go to college, and like basically senior year, like they were like, I don't know what to do because I don't have any experience, and like I want to do these things, but there was nothing ever offered to them in high school. And yeah, and also about the health thing, that's not really an attendance thing, but the health classes are terrible and need better. I just need to know that.
Can I ask a follow-up question for Ethan? Do you have ideas on which trades might be, sort of the ones that a lot of students would be interested in? I've heard auto before, but what else?
I think probably just basic metal and wood, and then maybe like in more advanced ones that do like welding or something, just to like, and then you can have like people come in and show like, oh, this is what painting does, this is what electricians do, or something like that. Because like they were offered when my parents went to El Camino, and like that's why my dad became a sheet metal worker, because like they had metal shop, and like he took that for like years in high school, but they're just not offered anymore.
Okay, thank you.
Sophia?
So I'm gonna kind of talk about topic and then branch into other ones. So let me know if you want me to like regroup in one or something like that. But with preparation for college, like Ethan was saying, there's more than just college, whether you're going to college or not. And for classes like ceramics, art, and stuff like that, sometimes there's only 2 or 3 levels or years of it. So it's kind of like, as for other classes like English, math, the science classes, it's recommended to take it all 4 years. And my thing with that is it's a one line for most of them. Like you're just going through the textbook of what you need to learn. However, you're not actually thinking about more than that. And I think that also branches out into why some students decide to skip or aren't interested in those classes, because it's very book based or flat out based, and you're not actually thinking about the real world and how you're going to end up applying it to the real world. And I think for college and life in general, that's the most important part of school, that you're going to apply all these skills into the real world. So I don't understand why we're not learning that instead of just learning simply what we're supposed to. Why are we learning it is what we should be learning from the very start when we're first getting into those classes. And I think it would be very skillful if that's what they taught us right when we went into high school and when we were going out of high school. I think that's one of the biggest preparations we could ever have in our experience in high school.
Thanks, Sophia. You didn't go on a tangent at all, so thanks for sharing all of your thoughts. I have one more question, and then I'll check with the other board members if they have anything. But Monique and Cheska, feel free to just say whatever you want to say, since you already had your hands raised. Thinking about like your personal identities, whether it's race or socioeconomic status or sexual identity, whatever, do you feel like you're able to show up at school and be your whole self? Or are there barriers to that? In terms of like the culture, you don't have to like disclose any of your identities, but in terms of the culture and the welcoming environment. Monique, go ahead.
Oh,
You can go.
Oh, okay. So to my first point that I was going to say before you asked the question was like, I agree with Erin so much. Like literally you enter like the college realm and you're with all these people who went to public schools, but were prepped and just exposed to so much more. Like, I just wish like we had more languages, like we had more like classes that made you think and ponder and like expanded your vocabulary and your jargon. And like I feel like for me, like my mom was like an immigrant, so she has an accent. So sometimes even though I was born and raised in America, like I'll speak with her accent and it'll like trail into my vocab. And there's been encounters in college where like people make you feel like inferior or less than because like you don't know all of like the white people gender or like white people like jargon, professional jargon that they all know. And like I do my best to like learn as many words as possible, but I just feel like on a daily basis, like if I'm speaking like Spanglish at home, like I'm just put at a disadvantage from people that are speaking like proper English at home. And I'm supposed to learn that in school and then I don't, so I have to learn it on my own. And then to the part about like your identity, I would say that like I've talked about this in my college classes with like other professors, but like in the Bay Area, like we're diverse and that's wonderful, but we're not necessarily inclusive. And like you can't have diversity without inclusivity. And so I feel like a lot of times, like I've heard slurs, I've heard bad things at El Camino. I've experienced microaggressions about like being Mexican. I'm not even Mexican, I'm Peruvian, but like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like I've heard these things and it's difficult for me because it's like we'll carry these subconscious biases and I mean, I'm glad they have ethnic studies now, but like, I just feel like in college, typically you'll have to do like a course at the beginning of every semester online on your own, at least at my college, where you learn about like consent, partying, microaggressions, treating people fairly. And you can't like start the semester without taking that class, or you'll be like fined like $50 or something. And I don't think we should have a fine. I don't think we should punish high schoolers, but I do think that there should be some sort of online course or something you take at the beginning of college or high school, or like partway through high school, that like teach you that like certain things can't be said. Like, how do you be an inclusive person? Like, if we're not taught that at home from our parents, like how do we learn to be anti-racist? Like how? So yeah.
Thank you. Jessica?
And also just bouncing off of that and also answering the previous question, I would say that much of pedagogy is affected by the literature that we consume. Like in our English courses, how the hell are we still reading like white-centered books? I get it if it's like a CP class, right? Like, why are we still reading Shakespeare? What does Shakespeare have to do with the issues we're facing right now? Because when I was in community college, I had my first ever Black teacher who vouched for me in everything that I did, whether it's scholarship applications or trying to get into grad school or trying to get into college in general. And the only books he taught in our class are, and he's an English teacher, he only taught Black and brown books, like books that are written by Black and brown authors and Black and brown artists. And we even studied Dr. Miss Lauryn Hill and lots of hip hop songs and rap lyrics in order for us to like fully understand how, you know, English classes are highly politicized in ways that we don't realize that it is. Like, for example, if you look at South City, I get it. They're probably not the right teachers to teach themed classes like that because they are white, but just the fact that the English teachers are white, and then you look at the other non-English classes, they are not white. I'm not saying we should fire them, but it just says a lot about what, you know, what English classes are perpetuating in our schools. And I'm not saying that it is their fault because there's a curriculum that they need to abide to, but they have professional agency to change that. And I think that if they hear this from the students themselves, then, you know, they can incorporate that into the curriculum that they already have. I'm not saying like completely take out Shakespeare, though I think he is extremely irrelevant to who we are, South City. But yeah, just that. Minor changes in the classes that we already have if we cannot create the classes that we need right now.
Did you have another thing to add to that? Can't remember. I thought you maybe were going to say two things. No. Okay. Sophia.
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize my hand was up. I don't have any.
It's okay. Megan then.
I had a comment. So about like feeling accepted in school. In some classes, there's definitely like you're maybe with like your friends and they like you and you like them and everyone's nice. But then there's teachers who are not, well, this is going to sound mean, but they're not nice at all. Like I had a teacher who repeatedly did racist things to me. And when I reported him to my counselor and I had multiple meetings with one of the vice principals about it, she did nothing. And all that happened is we had a meeting and he said he wouldn't do it again. And then he did it again. Like things like that, that's not being taken seriously by the administration is really not encouraging students to want to go to school. Like I really hated that class and I only took it because it was required for me to graduate and I wanted to graduate. But it was 3 years of that teacher being horrible and like administration not taking it seriously. Additionally, and I was in AP Lang last year, we were assigned like anti-racist books about immigrants and people of color's experiences, which I really enjoyed. But the thing was, the teacher excused a student's racism. A student in the class used an extremely racist meme in a presentation. And when we brought it up to her, multiple students, me and some of my friends, she excused it and said, well, maybe he just doesn't get the humor. And so again, I think a lot of the problems are, sure, maybe students are doing things wrong, but teachers and administrations are enabling it and furthering it, and it makes no one comfortable, and it's not helpful at all. It's traumatizing. That's it.
Wow. I'm really sorry you had to go through that, Megan, and traumatizing is the word that I was going to use, both that it happened in the class and then the lack of kind of response from teachers in the district as well. With that, we'll kind of open it up. If anyone else has any other comments on anything, we can go to 8 p.m., but we don't have to use all of that time. And I'll also just add, like, this is not the last conversation we want to have. You all are welcome to email us anytime. And also just if you want like advice on like career stuff, college stuff, like I'm more than happy to connect with you all on that.
I just wanted to add on that, like, I feel like we should really comb through what these teachers are teaching. And I don't want to micromanage them. You know, I respect that, you know, they know their craft, but I also think that like any job, there's room for constructive criticism. And so, like, I think, like, why don't we look at like what private schools and more well-funded schools are assigning in their syllabuses, you know? And why don't we compare that to what we're doing? Are we hitting not just the benchmarks that like obviously like are set at the state level, which we have to like hit, but like are we also just being ambitious and pushing children? Because if we don't, then like it totally makes sense that people aren't going to class. Of course there's a host of personal reasons. Of course things are like the economy's going down and people's parents are probably losing jobs, and that makes it harder to even drive them to school. Gas prices are insanely high. But yeah, I mean, could there be a carpool program? Could that be something that the school sets up? So like even just parents that want to take certain kids to school, could that be something that happens? Like I remember when both my parents were working and there was like no time for me and my younger brother at one point in middle school. Like I was carpooled by another mom. Had that not happened, would I have even liked school? Would I have even studied? You know, like if I just didn't have a series of like helpful people being kind, you know, I would be a different person. And so I just think that there just should be like more proactive programs to help people get to school. But also I just think like at the end of the day, like our classes, like even if we can't automatically offer every single AP class in the book because it's expensive and we don't have the money for teachers, like can we just comb through the teachers that we do have? Are they preparing kids well enough? Can we just survey them? Can we give that like anonymous feedback back to the teachers from the kids that are in the class? Yeah. And thank you for doing this. I really appreciated talking about all these things, even though I graduated 4 years ago. But yeah.
Definitely. Ethan.
I've been like putting down bullets to talk, so I'm just gonna like very like surface level. Like I remember textbooks were like super outdated, especially like in like CP history classes and like the language classes. They were like really old textbooks, like not really old, but like I remember it was like Iraq war stuff, and this was 2015, and it was like super outdated in my like regular modern world history class. The needs of the ASBs often get overlooked by the district because they like usually have to fundraise themselves, like the leadership classes, because like I remember like my ASB like needed, like we didn't have speakers at work, we didn't have all these like things, and we had to like fundraise to get them. And so like the student bodies and the student governments like needs often get ignored by admin. Just more class variety, scholarships for students, like I think that was kind of touched on, because there's the Genentech one, and then there's like the city cultural arts one, and then I think there's like one other, but that's it. And then transit passes for students would be interesting, because a lot of students take the bus to class, whether because they have to and their parents can't drive them, or like they just do, and that's a lot of money. That's all I have. And also, if you could send like everyone your emails or like in the chat, so that
send out the slides, and the
okay.
Emails are in there.
Thank you.
It's basically our first name at ssfef.org. But yeah, it'll be in the slide deck. And if any of you, I just wanted to take a quick second before 8 just to thank all of you for being so open and generous with your thoughts and your experiences. I graduated 24 years ago from South City High School, so I'm still around. But it sounds like some things haven't changed since I was there that long ago. So I'm happy that we have this opportunity with this foundation to sort of organize ourselves and maybe raise some funds and do something about some of these issues that are still around. So thank you everyone just for your time. And I graduated from UCLA in psychology. I know someone, Takai, was it? Or someone had said you were interested. So feel free to reach out.
Oh, yeah, I did say that. Funny enough, I went through my 2 years of community and I'm going to UCLA in the fall. I might even take a psych class. I know I said I wasn't interested enough to actually major in it, but still interested to make it a class and I'm taking it in college.
That's so wonderful to hear. Congrats too.
Thank you.
Right. Well, thank you for coming. I think this has probably been the most engaged the commission has been in a while. And I feel like if there's a lot that we still have to say. So like if you want to come back ever with like more questions and more topics, feel free to just reach out.
Thanks so much, Ethan. Yeah, as we kind of advance along our strategic development, we'll be sure to check in with you all in these meetings just to get your input as we go. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, everyone. This is one of my, the most insightful meetings we've had. This was very helpful.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
You're wonderful.
All right, thank you. Okay.
Guys, I think this is like the second group that's told us that we've been super insightful. Like,
look at us.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That was a great discussion, actually. It made me think about high school too much, which is something I don't like to do. The next item is the Youth Commission bonding event.
Okay, I can speak to that. So basically in May, I had you guys fill out that survey. Thank you to all of you who gave those response. Garnering the response, what it really looks like is that we had a preference for June 25th, a strong preference. We are looking to secure the different venues, but the #1 venue that was selected was in the Fernicki's building. For the food options, pizza and salad was in the lead, not by much, only by 2 votes. And then finally, for the group activities, we definitely had board games as the lead with video games as the second. The video games would be contingent based on the venue. I imagine it'd be fairly difficult to play video games outdoors unless you guys all have Switches. Well, it's something to think about. And then, yes, we are getting boba and we have written the proposal and it's going under review now. So we'll reach out shortly with more information.
Yay.
Is there a secondary day that's really popular? Because my schedule's changed, so my answer has changed.
Yes, the next date was Sunday, June 26th.
And okay.
Did we know the time of when we would be meeting?
The proposed time in the survey was 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And of course, this is all contingent based on what facilities are available. But yeah, we wanted to do the meeting or the bonding event in June before everyone heads off for vacation.
And then how many people would be able to make it on the 25th if everyone who responded that day would be able to go?
I responded, but my schedule's changed, so I'll be on a trip then, both days.
Are we able to do the use the poll feature on Zoom so that we can?
Or Tamiko, do you see how many people like responded with that day?
I do. Right now, that day has 10 people.
Okay.
Did we want to readjust or push the date further back?
I think the further we
July work for everyone? A weekend.
Did we do any July dates in the survey, or was it just stuck to June?
We stuck with June in case anyone was gonna go on vacation.
Okay. Just, we're not even missing that many people. Is anyone going on vacation in July? Because even if 10 people do show up, that's missing like 7 people.
I have just vacation planned for June, so I'll be gone pretty much all of June.
July, I have nothing aside from, I have nothing. Is anyone going away for July? Because if everyone here like isn't going away for July, we're only missing a few people, so we can just push it back so that all of us.
Commissioner Ho is gone in July.
All of July, Jasmine? Late July, okay. Unsure about July. I have no idea what I'm doing. I guess it's really up to everyone. We could do like theoretic, we could do this June thing and then we could do another one in July, right? Because it's not like an extreme amount of money, right?
Good question. Can I check on that and get back to you? But plan for the June anyway.
What does everyone think? Since this is like our bonding thing.
I think it might end up being a little bit harder if we do July because it's a little bit further ahead. Things can change. Even just now, I know I said I was available the 25th. I kind of prefer the 26th now. So maybe just sticking between 25th or 26th would be easier.
Maybe just an idea. Well, I don't know for another poll, but like maybe like a confirmation poll that like the 25th or the 26th does work because those are the 2 days that garnered the most votes. So we could just like check in with everyone and like, I mean, it would be nice if everyone could come, but I think it's going to be really hard to find a date that everyone could come.
Mm-hmm. And we can always plan for another thing too. So we could, I think, a confirmation poll for those 2 days, the 25th and 26th. But then we should if July is, everyone is away for July, like early August, like maybe right before school starts. But then I don't know if people are like, I don't know. Does anyone know the first day of school?
It's usually like August 11th.
It's August 10th. Yeah.
August 10th. Okay. Are people planning on being away until right before school, or do you all think you're going to be? I'm out all early August. Outside Lands is August 5th. Danielle, are you even old enough to attend that?
It's an all-age thing. So no, August 5th.
So what do you all think? This is the commission's event. Okay, let's compartmentalize this. We'll do a poll for the 25th and 26th to see which one is best there. What was the difference in respondents for that? Was it like a lot for who preferred what?
The 25th and the 26th?
Yeah.
It was 1 vote.
1 vote, okay. We'll do like which one do you prefer?
Would it be crazy to do it sooner rather than later? Like, what were the votes for the earlier June dates?
The earlier June dates by 1 vote, tying with June 26th, was Saturday, June 18th. However, putting in the facility request, this would most likely not result in your number 1 choice for venue, which was Keys. In such short notice, I'm not positive what we can secure. So I just want to manage expectations.
Okay.
feel like even if we're outside of the Finkeys building, remember who was there? This was a long time ago, but pre-pandemic, I know Cheska Dekai was there when we did that face painting event. It was like a public Orange Park, like fall thing.
Yeah, I think at this point, I mean, it would be great if we can secure the Fernikes building, but does everyone agree that main priority isn't the building in which we're going to be meeting at, or?
Yeah, I think, yeah. And it would be 11 to 2, right?
That's the date that was originally proposed, correct?
Okay. Or no, 12. Wait.
No, I have 11 to 2.
Wait, that's the Pride. I'm looking at your email. I'm just like, I'm looking for a time. Okay. I don't know.
Should you just, okay, so should we just include the 18th on the poll with the 25th and the 26th and then just decide from there? But like we should put like a hard stop and when like people should fill out the survey by? Or is that drawing out too long?
And that goes into our next thing. Like we're not going to have, well, the commission will discuss not having a July meeting, but I don't know if we're going to have a meeting before the 18th. Well, we're not going to have a meeting before the 18th, and we're also not having a meeting before the 25th either, because that is June. So we wouldn't be able to actually meet to discuss this.
Who are we missing today?
We're missing Russell. We're missing. I don't know.
Because as long as we don't break like the Brown Act, I feel like we could reach out.
I think we're also missing Jimenez.
But yeah, we're missing Ingrid.
Missing Commissioner Sui, Commissioner Lee, and Commissioner Jimenez. Those are the things I'm missing.
Okay. We can.
I can send out a poll, I don't mind, and we can include the 18th, assuming that I can find a facility or a venue in the meantime. So we'll do 18, 25, and 26, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and we'll get that confirmation.
Okay.
And it should be like instead of like picking your number one preference, just pick the ones that like you could pick multiple, so you're available for those. So we could just pick the one that has the most.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
By Cheska. Do we want to say
you have a great summer?
Like everyone has to respond to this poll by like Thursday, Wednesday, so that you
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah. Okay, I will send that out.
Would it be possible, like for people that maybe don't respond right away, to Slack them?
Or we have their phone numbers. We can just text them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And staff, or well, I don't want to like be like Tamiko, text everyone, but if
let us. We could text them if.
Yeah, I'll just let me know who to text and I can text them. This isn't I don't know. Yeah. Okay, I think that sounds like a plan, and yeah. Okay, well that. I hate planning things, but at least it's happening. Does anyone have anything else they want to talk about this before we move on? Because, okay, no, Erin is like, move on. So the next item is the Youth Town Hall update. Updates on the Youth Town Hall.
We had started the application to secure the facility. We did write the proposal and polished it, and it's now in the hands of our communications director for review. And that is all the update that I have for that.
Okay. And what do we have any tentative dates or like ranges of dates?
I think we discussed it being August, September range, but then we also wanted to see what the guest speakers availability were. So we will look and adjust.
That sounds good.
Wonderful.
Does anyone have any questions regarding Youth Town Hall update?
For that, could you briefly like go over just like a recap of what that is? I feel like I probably missed out on hearing that.
We wanted to do this Youth and Government Day didn't happen. We're ignoring the Youth and Government Day didn't happen thing. So we're gonna do a town hall, like a youth-centered town hall, and having like people like a panel of people talking, and then like having youth ask them questions. I believe it was going to be the South City Auditorium because it's bigger. We were going to get like city people, school district people, maybe even county and state people.
That's what we. Okay. Sorry, I was getting Youth and Government Day and that.
No, it's okay.
Okay, got
it. Okay. If there
bye, have a good one. Have a good summer.
Oh, bye, Dakai. Okay. Now we will move on to the discussing the cancellation of the July meeting. So, unless so the first Monday in July is 4th of July, which is a federal holiday, and I don't believe the government is open on that day. So like, I don't even think we could even get staff to staff the meeting. So we would have to move it if we wanted a July meeting. So we can either move it to the second Monday in July, which is the 13th, or we can just not have a July meeting. Other commissions, I think almost every commission, Sharon, is it every, I don't know if Sharon is even here still. Other commissions don't usually skip a summer meeting or a winter meeting. Is it every commission or?
No, it's case by case. And this year, both Park and Rec and Cultural Arts are canceling a summer meeting. And part of it is to give staff a break, folks. I'll just throw that out there, but it's totally optional and it depends on what you have going. You know, like sometimes you have a big event happening in August, so they don't want to take off June or July, but it's totally up to you all what you want to do.
And it should be noted that because like a good chunk of most of the commission's terms are up the 27th of July, but I have been told that they technically will not vacate their seat until the city council appoints replacements. So if we were to cancel July and then do an August meeting, the people whose terms went up in July can still go to the meeting in August?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm okay with moving it if the commission wants to move it to the 13th. Or I just don't want it to be on 4th of July because I like fireworks. And it's a holiday, so I don't think we can even do that. If people were assigned one term, can they be reappointed to extend their term? Jasmine, yeah, you can apply, and if appointed, which you most probably, depending on the city council's wishes, yeah, you can just reapply and get back on there. If my math is correct, if everyone who can reapply does, there still will be 2 open seats on the commission. So what do we want to do? We want to move it to the 13th, or do we want to cancel? Those are basically the options.
What are what finalized age limits did we settle on in our?
I believe it was 22 was the maximum.
I just turned 22, and I think Cheska and everyone else too.
I have to look at the ordinance. Oh yeah, I have that in my notes here to say items. I was going to say happy birthday, Monique, but good.
Thank you.
So the chat looks like people want to move the meeting. So does someone want to make the motion to move the meeting, or do we want to discuss it more?
How do I just say motion?
Yeah.
Okay, I motion to move the meeting.
Move the meeting when? To where?
July. What day was it, Ethan? We're brain blank.
13th.
13th.
Okay, so there's a motion to move the meeting of July 4th. Oh, not the 13th. That's
11th.
the 11th. See, this is why we need so the
I-
11th.
I motion to move the meeting to July 11th.
I second that.
And then this we have to vote on.
All in favor, say aye.
Can we do that? I don't even think that's legal, but let's.
Should I do a roll call vote?
Um,
Let's do a roll call vote.
Sure, there's only a handful of us.
Okay. Chairperson Mizzy,
Aye.
Chairperson Adriano,
Aye.
Secretary Jimenez, Commissioner Avila,
Aye.
Commissioner Kamal, Commissioner Cyrus,
Aye.
Commissioner Hailu, Commissioner Ho,
Aye.
Commissioner Hua,
Aye.
Commissioner Basan's not here, Commissioner Louise not here, Commissioner Leong,
Aye.
Commissioner Mariano, Commissioner Giancarlo Ray,
Aye.
Commissioner Monique Ray,
Aye.
and then Commissioner Yoshida.
Aye.
There we go. We will be meeting on the 11th. Look at us. Maybe we can skip like December or something. Give Tamiko the winter off. The next item is items from staff.
Okay, I have two things. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and hopefully this is the right screen. A few weeks ago, I did invite you guys to join us for the mental health first aid training. Happy to share that we also have a youth mental health first aid training. This is mostly for city staff and our internal partners. However, the invitation is definitely extended to all of you. I will send an email for follow-up, but this will happen this Friday at the South San Francisco Police Department, the new one in the community services room. This is happening in person between the hours of 8 and 4:30. Once you finish this, you will take an exam at the end and you'll get a certificate that's good for approximately 3 years. The second one is that the Orange Memorial Park Aquatic Center Community Workshop number 3 has been postponed. It is now taking place on June 25th. You can sign up using the Eventbrite, and I will also send that email out to all of you. Questions? Alrighty.
Who was putting on the mental health thing?
So the city is partnering with the county to do this.
Okay. Sharon.
I just have one item. Tamiko asked me earlier and I forgot this. And I was reminded all the talk of you guys tonight about art and interest in art. We are doing a public art master plan, and we have a group of consultants that just started. They're just on board. And I know that they want to do a focus group or solicit your input. So we will be scheduling them to meet with you at some point in the next, if that's of interest to you.
That's awesome, Sharon. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, just thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, send us the info because that sounds interesting. If there are no more items from staff, I guess. Are there any questions for the items from staff? No. So items from the commission, I had it here, so she believes me. Happy birthday, Monique, because I know you just had your birthday. If anyone else had a birthday recently, I just don't know. Happy birthday to you too. Congrats to all of the recent commission graduates. I know Nika graduated. Sam graduated. Is it just you two, or was there was like one other?
Yo.
Jen graduated.
Cheska and I graduated college.
That's right. Oh my God. That's also a graduation. Congrats. Wait, Jen, why didn't I get a... I should have gotten a picture. Okay. The chat is going off. I don't know what the boot thing is, Danielle.
It's a TikTok phrase. Yeah, you slice basically.
Oh, is that why I didn't see you, Jen? Okay. Boo, I
You
should
got
have.
to congrats me on my graduation day.
Yes, congrats. No, the only other thing was Pride. Happy Pride. I don't know. We didn't do a resolution for any other month, so I didn't want to do one for Pride Month, but like happy Pride to all the prideful members of the commission. The city had the flag raising. I drove Danielle and Megan, and that's why I didn't ride my bike there, because they're like, can you drive me? And there was a nice flag raising. And Erin, but Erin is a different Erin, but she's not on the commission, so like no one knows her. And Danielle got our mayor, Mark Nogales, to say slay multiple times on camera. If you would like the video of that, look at my Twitter or ask me to text it to you, because it was pretty funny. So text me to text it to you, because I will forget. But yeah, that's about it. I don't know if anyone else has anything else to say. Erin, do you have anything to say? Vice Chair?
Why are you asking me?
Because you're the Vice Chair, I don't know.
No, I think everything that needed to be said is said.
Okay. Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful summer. Alice, if you're still watching, thank you for staying. I hope this has been at least entertaining. But yeah, I hope everyone has a nice summer. Good to see y'all. Oh, well, wait, we're gonna see each other in July. Have a nice June. And we'll see each other before then, hopefully, on the 3 dates that Tamika will send out to us. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Look at us. Okay, I adjourn the meeting unless anyone has anything to say. I adjourn the meeting at 8:19. Thank you for everyone.